my screen now. If you hear a dog in the back, that is Franklin. And anyways, this is Coach John here, and I'm going to go into week number 5 of my simple nutrition system, where I'll be sharing advanced diet techniques. So, creating sustainable habits. Oops, thought that was saved. And lasting change. That's the title. Okay, cool. There we go. So first and foremost, let's revisit where we are at, because remember, we can't build a house until we have the foundation. So first things first, have you defined your goal? Have you defined why you're doing what you're doing? Do you have congruent affirmations that support that? I am 190 pounds on March 1st, 2016, looking my best, because I want to be the most confident, competent human being I can be, so I can excel personally and professionally with my relationships, whatever that is. Okay. And then, affirmations that go with that. I am strong and driven. I make healthy choices effortlessly. Right? Anything that affirms that goal that you're working towards. And how will it impact your life? As I lose 10 pounds or 5% body fat, I will develop more confidence, which will improve this area of my life specifically. You get what I'm saying, right? So you want to know what the benefits are, because it's cool to hit the scale weight, but what it's going to do for you is really what's going to help you stick with it. Have you selected your recipes every single week? Have you followed through with these habits? If you have not, stop this presentation now, and unless you're just here watching, which Lori is, then hop off and focus on the basics. If you do not have a goal and a purpose, stop what you're doing now and do that. Okay? 1, you're going to shop. 1, you're going to prep with those meals you selected. Starting photos and measurements. Okay? Plan 10 to 20 minutes of self-time every day. I can't stress that enough. It's a habit I have not lost. And then share photos from your actions. The more you engage, the more you will get. The more you sit in the background, the less you will get. I promise you. So this week, simple things. I'm going to go into advanced intake setting methods, alternative intake setting methods. We're going to talk about carb timing, when we should be eating carbs, when we shouldn't. And then also intermittent fasting. All right, so before we go any further, I do want to reiterate that this only works if you have those foundational habits in place. Have you eliminated sugars, processed foods, alcohols from your diet? All right. If you have not, you still have cravings, hormonally speaking, going on. So there's still sugar in your coffee every single morning. I can promise you that somewhere at some point you are hormonally being driven to make a less than optimal choice. Now, everyone's individualized on their genetics. Some people are going to be more prone to cravings just naturally. That's fine. Okay, it depends on your upbringing, your habits as a youngster, right? And pulling sugar out of our diet is going to really exacerbate whatever that was. So we'll crave more if we need it more. All right. So this only works if you have focused on that. That's why I started with the purpose, cleaning it up, and then fine tuning it. And this is fine tuning it and putting a whole new body kit on it, if we're talking about a car. All right. So quality foods first. This only works if you have quality foods, and that's what you're building your nutrition, your diet around. And more importantly, discipline. The reason why discipline is important once we're setting calorie goals is how many times do you see someone, oh, well, I counted calories for 5 days and it didn't work, so I stopped. Hey, why am I not losing weight? Okay, well, here's the problem, is that you didn't give it enough time and you're not truly committed or disciplined. So if you really want to know if something's working, you need to give it at least 2 weeks. That's what I always say. If you can't commit to 2 weeks of consistency with your intake, you're not going to be able to do it for long term anyway. So you have to delay gratification with this and trust the process, because it will come. All right. So discipline and then foundational habits in place. Right. So clean it up and then fine tune it. So I actually got this from a buddy I mentioned, the six pack specialist that I'm friends with, and this is what's recommended for the average woman. Okay, I'll talk about how you can adjust it and apply it to work for you. But remember, going back to my previous slide, it only works if you have cleaned up your diet and you have discipline. If that is not intact, this will not matter. So tactic number one, alternative calorie goal setting. Now I gave you a way to calculate very uniquely to you. What my friend here has put together is a cheat sheet that will get you pretty darn close to what I gave you without having to do the math. So I did the hard work for you here, okay? So this is one option that you can use if you don't want to calculate yourself. So this is height, calorie goals, and then he actually broke it up based on the percentage. All the work is done for you. Okay, all the work is done for you. So based off your height, select accordingly. This is pre-calculated with ideal activity of 5 days a week, up to 5 days a week of something, and then also based off of general height across the board. So what happens when it doesn't work? Well, are you disciplined? Have you cleaned up your diet and have you stuck with it for 2 weeks? If that's the case, what I recommend is you cut back by 100 calories. But once again, you have to stick to it. You have to keep your diet clean and then reevaluate. If you don't know, you don't know. So this is actually an example that he gave me, right? And this is nothing breakthrough. I've shared lots of things like this, but this is what he's very, 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 very extreme. You don't need to be like him, but the idea is what you want to take away, the concept. Okay, so this would fit in line with kind of what we're going to talk about next, but what a ideal calorie based diet, which will get you a result, is going to look like. Okay, we want to, we have such a negative association with eating a specific number of calories, counting calories, stuff like that. But look at it this way: it's like if you're on a fixed income, right, and you're budgeting maybe for a family, you can't just recklessly buy whatever you want and then get frustrated when there's either no money left or be surprised when there's a lot of money left. Because realistically, if we don't know, we don't know. And I was having this conversation with someone earlier today. They said, I'm exercising more and I'm nothing's changing. In fact, I gained weight. I said, oh, cool. So what's your intake at? What's your nutrition look like? And then the typical response, which is not fair to myself or the person I'm talking to, is, oh yeah, it's pretty good. I haven't really changed anything. That tells me nothing. That's like someone that is a shopping addict or does not manage their money well on a fixed income, saying, and they're like, John, why am I so broke? I say, well, how often do you go shopping? They say, just about as average. Same amount as I do every week. That means nothing. Okay. Someone going shopping 3 times can spend 3 completely different amounts. Someone that goes out to eat 3 times in a week can eat 3 completely different amounts. All right. So if we don't know, we don't know. If you haven't cleaned up your diet yet, do that. If you still have sugars and processed foods, get it out. And then you worry about this stuff once you have the habits, okay? So how do we know if it's working? Test and measure via measuring tape and scale. And we do this every usually 4 to 6 weeks. The next one's coming up at the end of March. And then you want to be consistent. If you bail, you don't know. If you go over a few times, you don't know. If you're way under your calories, you don't know. How many times have I seen someone come to me that wants my help so badly, and they're saying, John, I'm eating like 1,000 calories and nothing's changing. I'd say, well, no wonder why. Your body thinks that it's going to die. It thinks it's going to run out of food. So why would it be worried about getting rid of its best source of fuel and energy in times of famine? Okay? It's going to hold on to every bit of body fat that it can because you're sending the wrong signal. You need a slight reduction. We need a reason to release fat, not hold on to it. I hope that makes sense. Okay? Like I said at the bottom, stay consistent for 2 weeks and evaluate. If you have truly and honestly hit your goals week in, week out, for 14 days straight, and nothing has changed, your clothes are not fitting differently, the scale is not moved, then we cut back 100 calories. All right? Not before. Here's a great one. So carb timing. Okay, let's not overcomplicate it. There's nothing breakthrough. And I've told you this probably several times myself, but it's one of those things we just can't remind ourselves of enough. All right. So carb timing. When are the key times to eat carbs? When you wake up, before your workout. If you don't have carbs, at least have protein about an hour before, and always after our workout. Now, I don't know if you know anyone that's diabetic or if you're aware yourself of how diabetes works. But basically, it comes down to your blood sugar levels. So let's talk about that. So why does carb timing and blood sugar levels really matter? Well, when blood sugar raises, which happens in a few scenarios, okay? A, you eat anything. Blood sugar is going to elevate to some degree. All right? The second time is, in a more extreme example, is when you eat a teaspoon of sugar. Blood sugar will go straight up. All right? What happens, your body releases insulin from your pancreas, and it basically captures the glucose floating around your bloodstream and delivers it to your cells or wherever it can be stored. Right? When your body has a surge or influx of blood sugar increase, right, the amount of blood sugar in our body suddenly goes into attack mode to manage that. Because if blood sugar levels remain elevated for too long, you can lose your fingers, you can go blind, a lot of bad things can happen. You could die at some point. All right, unless you're you've had diabetes for years, you don't have to worry about that. But the point is, our body cares more about us surviving because that's what it's really programmed for. It cares more about us surviving at that point and getting our blood sugar back to baseline than oxidizing and metabolizing body fat. It is solely focused on that. So all other processes are put on the back burner. They are secondary priorities, okay? Our body jumps to manage our blood sugar levels, right? Just like when your blood sugar is too low because you haven't eaten for hours and then you exercise, we get really lightheaded. And that's our body's signal for, hey, something's not right here. We need to pick it back up, all right? So the other thing is that we want to have carbs at these times or at least after a workout because it's the best time for our body to preferentially store carbohydrates in our favor. In our favor, by that, I mean not for body fat, but for fuel. So look at this as like your gas tank, okay? If you pour too much gas into your gas tank, does it spill? Yes or yes, all right? So the gas tank will overflow and we can't store anything extra. That's usually what happens when we have a higher carb lifestyle. When we exercise with intensity, our blood sugar drops and also our gas tank empties. So you can imagine there's an empty gas tank and there is lower blood sugar levels. Well, guess what? Carbs are a great way to fill up our gas tank, our glucose tank, okay? And what else do carbs do? They tend to elevate blood sugar a lot higher, a lot faster than protein or fats. See how the two go hand in hand? Don't overthink it. We're just trying to get fuel in our body and bring our blood sugar back up where we feel pretty good. Okay? So remember, here at the bottom, I make a few notes of when the best times to have carbohydrates are. If you're going to have any time, if you're going to pick one, always pick after your workout. Okay, if you're on a ketogenic diet, for example, which I'm not the biggest advocate of, it's basically almost a no-carb diet, I would go for after your workout. That's where I would put any sort of significant starch or carbohydrate content. All right. So one is blood sugar low. Let's do a little review. First thing in the morning, after your workout, and potentially before, depending on the last time you ate. So little note at the bottom, if you look at the asterisk, anytime we go extended period of time without eating, our blood sugar levels drop. Just look at it that way. Don't overcomplicate it. Cool. So tech number 3, intermittent fasting. Now this is a approach that has really helped me to maintain and lose weight because I, just like you, have very, very, very long days. I also am a stress eater. So if I'm stressed out and I have a long day that starts at 5 and ends at 10, you can imagine my body naturally wants me to munch on food. So I am human too. Okay. And what happens is when I condense my eating window down and embrace more of an intermittent fasting lifestyle, which I have for the past probably a month and a half, I've gone back to eating this way, and it's really helped me. I felt a lot better. I've lost some weight. I've been able to find my flexible approach with my diet too within that. Okay, and it's really simple. But the cool thing is, if you do the research on intermittent fasting, some of the key benefits is a reduction in inflammation, improved human growth hormone levels or growth hormone. Okay, and also reduced insulin resistance. What was tactic number two? We go back. Carb timing. What's carb timing have to do? It has to do with blood sugar. So if we can reduce insulin resistance and increase insulin sensitivity, our body can become more efficient at metabolizing carbohydrates in our favor to keep our blood sugar levels stable. Okay, so this goes hand in hand with tactic number two. If we do all this, if we have calorie counting goals in place, if we are working on stabilizing our blood sugar and timing our carbs, and then we add this into, you see how all these things come together. But at the end of the day, it does come back to our foundational habits. This is the roof on the McMansion that we're building. This is not the foundation. All right. This is the foyer. Okay. This is the hardwood floor that we're putting in. It makes everything work and look really freaking good, but nothing matters unless that foundation's there. All right. But I just want to give you all this so you have this, and these are not substitutes for eating quality foods. Nothing is. So intermittent fasting protocols, 16-8, basically means you don't eat for 16 hours and then you only eat for 8 hours. 24-hour fast every couple days. And there are several other approaches. All right, if you look at the bottom, what did I say? Still eat your calorie goal. If my calorie goal is 2,200 calories a day, just because I'm eating in a smaller window of 8 hours does not mean I only eat 1,600 calories a day or that I eat 3,000. I still want to hit my calorie goal within that range. Does that make sense? Okay, this is not a free pass. We do not starve ourselves outside of the fast. The fast is an intentional thing. Okay. So the benefits of intermittent fasting for your mindset. Charity guy has a question. Intermittent fasting. Okay, so I'm not sure when that question came in, but I will dig into a little bit more. So we'll go back to that. Intermittent fasting. Essentially, intermittent fasting, it's as simple as it sounds. It's an intermittent time period where we fast. So for the 16-8 approach, I don't eat for 16 hours, and then I do eat all my food within 8 hours. Okay. Once that, let's say, so for example, most days right now, I start eating between 10 and 12, and that means I'm done eating between 6 and 8, depending on when I started at night. And then the next day, I wake up whatever time I wake up, and I don't eat until 10 to 12, somewhere in there in the morning. Okay. So the habitual and kind of mindset benefits that I find, I'm telling you these firsthand because I do experience these, it creates discipline. So it's a lot easier to control your eating portions, which is my biggest challenge, when you are restricted to a smaller time window, unless you're just stuffing your face. But you know when you're stuffing your face. And, I'll be honest, if I wanted to eat 1,500, 2,000 calories in one meal, I'd probably feel really sick. So I'm just not going to do it. So it makes overeating very challenging. Okay. And every meal you are that much fuller, which is great. Increases energy. I find that I don't get the highs and the lows from my nutrition as much in those hours outside of my eating windows. Reduces cravings. Having the highs and lows of blood sugar levels is one of the reasons why we crave foods, especially carbohydrates. So if we have more mental clarity, which has also been shown to be a benefit of intermittent fasting, we crave things less because we're less stressed too. See how it all goes hand in hand? And also, this creates a lot of awareness around nutrition habits because it's not like that. It's not like when we're eating throughout the day from start to finish, from 8 a.m., 5 a.m. until 10 p.m. And we're stressing like, oh my God, did I go over 100 calories here? Did I, go in my short? Like, because that goes on my head too. All right. So this really has us take a less of an emotional look at what we're doing and how it's working, because it's really hard to hit all your calories in a 8 hour window. Like I have to fit 2,400 calories into 8 hour window right now. That's not easy. I have to have sizable meals, and it really removes the emotion around what I'm eating, because in between those big meals that I have right now, I find that when I am craving something, I have the self talk that kick in and say, "Man, do I really need food right now?" And then I think, "Wow, I'm not going to feel great if I do." And I just ate an hour ago, and it's like all this self talk. I start to win the battle. Okay, and the self talk never ends. It's always part of it, but it gives us a chance to reinforce the positive responses to ourselves. So I want to leave you with this. There was a challenge for this week that I will expect you to follow through with, but you want to look at this like the matrix. So you can either raise your personal standards and expectations and choose to live a healthier lifestyle permanently and not make excuses as you take full ownership for everything. Do you want to be the victim, or do you want to be in control of your life? That is a choice. All right. The alternative is you make this simple nutrition system another diet. It is just a diet to you that you did for a short period of time where you saw some progress and then fell back in your old habits that have kept you unhappy and feeling potentially like a failure. Okay. So you have a choice. You always have a choice. Do I eat the chip? Do I not eat the chip? Do I eat the damn cookie, or do I skip eating the cookie? It's not easy, but it is simple, just like our simple nutrition system. See the theme? Are you getting this? So we want to look at it as we have a choice. And what I challenge you to do is to raise your standards. If you want to make a change and change something significant in your life, I can promise you, start focusing on that change being your nutrition, your diet, everything else good in life will follow. So my challenge for you this week is not super emotional like some of the things I've had you do in the past, but I want you to post and share in a post honestly how committed you have been and how you will improve going forward. Also, let's own our areas of weakness. So, what has worked and what hasn't? Okay, and then what our plan for the coming week is. It's that simple. If you execute already, take a photo and post it. I want to see that. All right. And also, last but not least, share what your one big challenge has been and what your plan to adjust or overcome it is. My name is John, and I can't get my food prep. So I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. and cook the food so the darn thing is done, and I have no excuses. That is a great example. So I hope this gives you a lot of tools and tactics that you can plug into your approach to nutrition and still have flexibility in your goals and your lifestyle. So I gave you a lot of things that work for me and a lot of things that are proven. Go ahead and use them, and I look forward to seeing you through the course of this week.